There's the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland, and in the Himalayas, there's the Yeti, the abominable snowman. In Tasmania, a teardrop of an island under the eye of the Australian mainland, there's the Thylacine, a creature that brings out folklore and folks armed with grainy images convinced they've seen the thing. But unlike other mythical creatures, the Thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, actually indisputably existed. An apex predator the size of a small wolf roamed the island as recently as last century, which gives hope to so many obsessives, dreamers, and true believers looking for the Tasmanian tiger in the bush, and, as you'll see, in the lab. This is a story that says as much about human nature as it does nature. Further proof that even in the face of science and logic, passion survives in the wild just fine.
The story will continue in a moment.
You've been doing this how many years now?
I've been doing this for over 30 years, and every day's an adventure.
All right, here we go. Getting there wasn't easy, but Adrian Richo Richardson, a retired military man turned self-declared tiger seeker, retraced his steps. Tramping around the dense outback of Tasmania on January 28, 2017, 12:45 p.m., he heard the sound.
And then all of a sudden was this mighty howl like this. Oh! I was gobsmacked. The hairs on my arm and my neck stood on end. And as that call finished, another one come from the other side of the forestry track. Another howl like that.
What did that one sound like?
Exactly like. Oh!
Richo craned his neck but saw no creature. Still, he's sure of what it was. A Tasmanian tiger.
The whole environment went quiet for about a minute. There was an unbelievable feeling. I just can't explain it.
Yeah, you're still emotional talking about this.
Look, I'm going to remember that call to the time I die. And then I had to try and prove to others what I've heard.
When he returned to his home in Hobart, Tasmania's capital, he didn't go down to the pub to share his account. No, he took to his desk and stayed up writing a detailed report, flush with 22 footnotes.
What my passion is, it's the thylacine. I know it's there.
And this only reinforced your faith?
Oh, without a doubt.
One slight hitch, one crimp on the Barbie, as it were. The creature Richo described so vividly and breathlessly, it was declared extinct almost 40 years ago. Thought, maybe it's a dingo, maybe it's a wolf.
In Tasmania, we do not have anything remotely like it. We do not even have wild dogs in any form. The only feral thing we have around here is deer or cats.
I don't think deers are making that noise you just made.
No, sir, they did not.
The Tasmanian tiger roamed these parts for thousands of years. More wolf than tiger, it is, a marsupial weighing about 55 pounds.
The Tasmanian tiger, easily distinguished by his straight, unjointed tail.
It was also a carnivore that preyed on farmers' sheep. Recalling the fate of the wolf of the American West around the same time, the local government paid out bounties to hunters presenting carcasses. By the mid-1930s, the Tassie tiger population had dwindled to one, captive at Hobart's Beaumaris Zoo, where it died in 1936. With the required 50 years elapsing without a confirmed sighting, the tiger was put on the extinct list in 1986. Yet, putting the mania in Tasmania, the search became a national obsession. And the Tasmanian tiger, not the Tasmanian devil, became a sort of local mascot. Its image adorns Tasmania's coat of arms and government buildings. Here's the island's current license plate. At local watering holes, the regulars put down their Tassie Tiger beer long enough to tell you they've seen the animal, or know someone who has.
I stood there and held the torch on it for 40 seconds, I reckon.
When Nick Mooney was a full-time Hobart biologist, it fell to him to investigate the various Tasmanian tiger accounts. Now in retirement, he's the island's unofficial arbiter.
I know several people who've got clusters of cameras in very remote areas, serviced remotely by satellite, and who go and check on the cameras with their own helicopter, all sorts of things.
It moved way beyond the guy with binoculars saying,
I think I may have seen something. Oh, absolutely.
He can't help notice no one ever quite captures a clear image. Still, reported sightings come by the thousands.
Have you ever gotten a report or ever looked into something that gave you a little pause?
Yes, sometimes people are dead accurate with the times, the places, the distances, and they're very good naturalists, often don't exaggerate, like they take their skills very seriously. And it's very hard to say to those people, I don't think you saw a thylacine.
For the devoted army of seekers, the investment isn't just one of hope and time. Each year, Richo spends more than he cares to admit dollars on trail cam batteries alone.
How much money have you sunk into this succession?
Sir, I wouldn't like to speculate, and please don't tell my wife.
Make it our secret.
That's our secret. She often asks, and I go, go and get your hair done, darling. Yeah. No.
Go
Can
shopping.
I stop that one? Can I stop that one? Can you redo that one again?
In the bush, we met another enthusiast, Chris Rayberg, who flies down from mainland Australia and approaches the search in the manner of a CSI detective.
Apart from the cameras, I gather you've been scouring for prints, fur, even poo.
Yeah, everything. So scats, footprints is a big one. And I found a series of 18, 19 individual steps in a track line that are an excellent match for Tassie tiger. Not only are they an excellent match, the quality of the prints is pristine. Like scats, keep an eye out, check it out. You know, what's the animal been eating? Yeah, and calls if you hear them.
There are even tracking collectives. Richo was part of the Booth Richardson Tiger team.
Thank you for joining us on what we believe is a historic day,
which made worldwide news in 2017 after calling a press conference to announce a sighting. But when they provided this image as proof, Nick Mooney assessed it as a chance, but not an official confirmation.
What is the middle ground? You can be right, you can be lying, or
you can have an illusion, and there's all sorts of ways that memory can be affected by time. I've had lots of talks with psychiatrists and detectives trying to figure out this. You really often have to make a choice, a personal call in the end.
To essentially tell them they're wrong and their mind is deceiving them.
Or you can't tell them that because you don't know. Essentially, if you weren't there, you don't know.
Richo and all the other seekers won't have to wait long. They won't even have to go into the bush if a group of tech investors and biologists deliver on their goal. Andrew Pass counts himself among the Tassie tiger transfixed. He comes to the quest, though, armed not with binoculars, but a microscope in his tiger lab.
Envision that day when you're not just wearing it on a pin.
Yeah, 100%. I think about it all the time, what it would be like to be in that landscape and just to see one walking past in the bush, an actual one rather than a crappy photograph.
Tell us exactly what you're doing.
We can't magically bring the Tasmanian tiger back. We have to start with a living cell and then engineer our thylacine back into existence. So the way you do that is you find the closest living relative to your animal that has gone extinct. And for us, that is a small marsupial species called the fat-tailed dunnart.
A developmental biologist at the University of Melbourne, Pascas raised $15 million for a de-extinction project that recalls Jurassic Park. In partnership with American company Colossal Biosciences, which counts, wait for it, Leonardo DiCaprio, Paris Hilton, and even the CIA among its backers. He's adamant he'll replicate the genome of a dunnart, a mouse-like marsupial, and turn it into a much larger Tassie tiger. We'll let him explain.
We examine all of its DNA. We compare that to the DNA of your extinct species, the Tasmanian tiger, and we look at everywhere that those two genomes, or those two piles of DNA, if you like, are different. And once you've identified those differences, it's just a matter of then going in and making all of those edits to turn your fat-tailed dunnart genome or cell into a thylacine cell.
And you're saying that dunnart, that little field mouse marsupial dunnart, is closer than, say, the Tasmanian devil.
But that little dunnart is a ferocious carnivore, even though it's very, very small. And it's a very good surrogate for us to be able to do all of this editing in.
A native of Minnesota, Chris Helgen is director of the Australian Museum Research Institute in Sydney. He understands the push to de-extinct the Tassie tiger.
This is one of my favorite mammals.
Really?
And I love all mammals. I am a mammal guy. This is a special, special animal.
He took us upstairs to his lab to show us why.
So this is Tasmanian tiger of the 19th century.
See the stripes, see the thick tail, see this gaping mouth with the sharp teeth.
What do you make of this de-extinction effort with respect to the Tasmanian tiger?
You know, I would be the first person to line up to see this animal if it could be somehow brought back from extinction.
That said, Helgen is the skeptic, gently explaining that wishing Tassie tigers were running rampant doesn't overcome science.
The idea that you could actually tweak the DNA of this mouth-sized animal into making this apex predator of Australia, it stretches imagination in many different ways. This is an impossible project.
We all love optimism, we all love innovation.
What they're saying is, we're going to modify the genome of a Dunnart to create a genetically modified Dunnart that might look a bit more like a thylacine. Maybe we'll be able to tweak it genetically and it gets a bit bigger. Maybe we'll be able to tweak it genetically and it has some stripes on it. But there's about 1,001 steps in between.
Helgen has thought about the source of the current Tassie tiger passion and wonders how much of it is driven by remorse.
It's a special symbol about Australia and about what we've lost. We've had a lot of extinctions here. In the last 100, 200 years, 30 mammals alone. So in the United States, only 1 or 2 mammal species have disappeared entirely.
So why are people taking this seriously and why are people investing so much in this?
So many people have the dream, if we could just get this animal back. Maybe it would help us think different about extinction or the guilt that we might feel of having removed such a special animal from the planet. Whether, they imagine it might be still hiding in Tasmania or in a lab to be reborn, there's this burning hope.
Richo reckons that if his countrymen in the DNA sequencing labs can resurrect a Tassie tiger, good on him. But regardless, he'll continue coming here. Faith unshaken, he's certain this animal, most famous for being extinct, is not extinct at all.
If someone accused you of being obsessed, would you plead guilty?
Oh, sir, I'll put my hand up to that. Your Honour, I am guilty.
You're a Tasmanian tiger obsessive.
I am indeed. It's been my love.
Why is that? I mean, why have you continued to search so long for this?
Oh, I just know it's there. I do. In my own heart, I know it's there.
And if it isn't there, well, we say what's the harm in searching? Coming to the planet's sub-basement, bush-bashing this gorgeous terrain, there are worse ways and places to spend your days.